Hey everyone, Strangers103 here today with yet another replay cast. This is I'm Hikaru Cat loading 3 minutes late into his match, and I believe I'm Hikaru Cat is playing on the Asian server, I think. I mean, Korea, Japan, Korea, there. I'm not AUS, probably Australia, so I'm just assuming this is Asia server. And someone's not too happy about that. It seems loading in late does have a pretty nasty consequence of, well, in this case, the enemy carrier has actually already killed our Z39, so bad luck, I guess. So, well, we kind of just need to get ourselves into the game, pick up the pieces, and start making some progress again, otherwise we're going to struggle. Now, we are running AP bombs Midway. Personally, I think that is a really, really bad thing to do at tier 10. AP bombs on a Lexington, AP bombs on the Enterprise can be fine because you have a wide variety of targets tier 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 that are actually vulnerable to them. Granted, some of the tier 10 targets, Des Moines, you probably don't want to be trying to fly tier 7 planes into because it's probably going to result in them getting murdered. But I'm not sure, that really might just be me. Now, this is actually the second time I tried to record this. The first time broke a little bit. This is a replay. I don't actually happen to have the exact line number for, so I'm just hoping it doesn't break right now. It seems to be playing alright, so hey, details. Now, the only comment in the email that was sent to me was, in this replay, I tried to focus attack on Conqueluls to eliminate an HE spam threat to my teammates, yet I failed to do that. Well, I guess we'll come to that later. And there you go, the strafe icons don't show up properly, and we do get a really good strafe against the fighter. We can tag it down to the rest, for the kill. I don't actually think, the order didn't go through, so we're actually not killing that plane right now, and we've lost a torpedo bomber. And the enemy fighters are coming along. We've got a slightly damaged squad. I probably would just... head-on strafes are iffy. They're always very iffy, and it's generally recommended not to take head-on strafes, and, well, turns out we actually end up getting the shitty end of the stick, actually. So, well, at least we have a gearing to kind of pick up the slack in a way. We need to keep our torpedo bombers close to our fighters until the enemies are down to one plane in the squad, because then he can't disengage strafe anymore. And it looks like we're stacking up to hit the enemies. Well, the Yamato is actually quite low HP. I probably would actually just get rid of the most volleyball. I probably would try to get rid of the Yamato, because the Ithmo... I mean, we can actually kill the Ithmo. We get a good drop. The enemy, remember this, he doesn't have fighters airborne, so we have all the time in the world to set up a drop on this Ithmo properly. So I guess, it's something to get rid of, but... No, Yamatos are generally a pretty big threat to the team, and finishing in one off, in my opinion, can be quite important. And now we actually find the enemy's blob of strike as well. He's now cycling. Without actually, with a late load in, it's actually difficult to figure out, what he's attacked first. I mean, in this case, we looked at the map, we see it's over there, but, one of our squads do get fully wiped in the time duration, but it looks like this Ithmo is saying, hey, I want to take every single torpedo, because, that's just the way I am, and I want to turn away from them. He ends up taking a lot of these torpedoes. He's not going to take them all. He's actually managed to turn out on time. However, I guess he doesn't want to broadside the Yamato. That's like, 26 kilometers away. Honestly, I probably would have, seeing that, I would have maintained an intern just to try to avoid getting, murdered by the torpedo bombers. In this case, it doesn't actually seem to matter because he's flooding. If he has a damage control party available sometime soon, taking a couple less torpedoes might have prevented this result from happening. And we do actually spot the Yugmo's torpedoes, which is very useful, actually, because we also know he has a smoke screen. Now, we are AP bombers, and the enemy team has a grand total of 2 available targets. Now, the enemies kind of destacked torpedo bombers, but, from the strike of the TIE bombers, we do wipe them all out, and... yeah, flying those bombers to an Iowa is not necessarily what you'd, with a Des Moines next to it, I wouldn't really say is the best use of your resources. Now, with only 2 available targets, and, one of them is, scroll it out here, one of them's here, and the other one's down here. This is going to be less viable to attack with this next to it. Yeah, this is going to be a lot better. So, we're kind of sending them out there. We've spotted the Yugmo's torpedoes already, so we can just fly them up here and click the Moskva, who probably is kind of busy. The options are fly him in front, get kind of into the visual area of the Moskva. There's no guarantee he has defensive, though. We need to keep that in mind. The other one is to fly into the Roma, risk losing additional plane. Roma's A is not that great. and try to throw from behind, because Roma doesn't get defensive, and that's very important to remember. Roma does not get defensive AA. Only actually the Moskva does. So if you attack from in front of the Moskva, and like if you kind of imagine it from the way the Moskva, he's looking in front of him and he sees those bombers coming in, he might not have reacted properly, but, he might just react enough to press D for stats. Now we're doing a good move, moving our aircraft carrier a bit towards the western side of the map. The team's kind of split the map from north-south spawn to a east and west spawn, so we're kind of on the safe side of it. Now, we have an allied shimmy. Let's have a look at this. Allied shimmy rushing the enemy midway, and yeah, it looks like the allied shimmy is actually going to get the kill on him. Now that's incredibly useful for us. He's probably going to die very soon, because he's stuck between a lot. Like, he's deep in it, put it that way. And there's not really much we can do to help him. But we've just eliminated the enemy's aircraft carrier, and this is incredibly important because we don't need our fighters, and our fighters have just become glorified scouts. So from this point onwards, we can be using these fighters to pretty much sit on the enemy's destroyers and pretty much make them irrelevant and, well, put them out of the game. Now going for this Roma, we have, his A is not that good, even though we only have tier 8 torpedo bombers. Let's fly him a little bit more behind this area, and then approach kind of up like a slight more than 90 degree, and it does turn out the Roma is trying to intern, but at this point we're actually going for the flooding damage over time, it would seem, which is definitely the better thing to do. So you can't do with just your AP bombers, because, well, they're AP, they don't set fires, unless, you Citadel and, break someone's engine and decides to damage on the engine with them. Now the Roma has already damage control party that torpedo bomber flooding, so we can pretty much go in. And again, this guy's an interner, so I try to approach a little bit more from this kind of an angle, instead of the one we have right now. The one we have right now is actually perfectly fine, and it turns out the Roma is, well, actually just trying to straight line through him, so he actually wasn't paying too much attention to those torpedo bombers. I think he was just trying to angle against the stuff that's in front of him. And enemy fighters, you can strafe here and try to clip them both, but personally, I would just do 2 strafes, and you see he's heading down there to, let me just take control of the camera. Either wait for them both to head down in this direction. We can see they're converging as we, flood the Roma down, as they're converging, so wait for this to happen, and then now come and strafe down in this path and try to wipe as much of both as possible. In this case, we actually need 3 strafes to finish it off, and do we have the ammo for that? I can't actually tell because we don't get the icon, so instead of trying to finish off that, I guess we have a tiny bit of ammo left, but I guess we just decided we don't want to finish it off, so yeah. Not a major deal, sending the second fighter in to finish the job, but at this point we really should be using the empty squadron to just look for the enemy destroyers, pressure them, keep on them, stop them from being able to achieve anything, or at least, make sure the team knows where at least one of them are at all times, and once the second squadron is done with the fighters, make sure we try to find the second one. This is important because, destroyers in this kind of situation, there's still 3 of them alive. Yueyang, deep water torpedoes, Shimmy, 15 torpedoes, Yumo, very powerful tier 9 torpedoes. We know that he doesn't have the torpedo reload booster, but, Anyways, AP dive bomber is nothing better to drop him on than the Moskva. Slightly underled here, so it's unlikely this is going to kill him up front. We actually get some pretty decent amount of hits for that, all in all considered, though, but he doesn't die, but he's very low HP, which is definitely very useful. An extra Citadel in there, he would have gone down, because 8,000 damage bombs. And pick up the last enemy fighter squadron, but now with our gearing moving around, we definitely should be fully committing our fighters that are here to supporting, and landing the empty squadron is kind of unnecessary in my opinion, because it just kind of takes up the landing sequence, takes up the takeoff sequence. In this case, I don't think it's going to be a major deal, because, our torpedo bombers are currently taking off again, and that's perfectly fine. Dive bombers will land before the fighter has to take off, so that's not going to be a problem either. Now, Moskva actually got away with that, so... And the Yamato's actually survived, and he's kind of coming back into the game now. So our options are basically kill the Yamato, kill Moskva, or hit the Montana. This being Asia server, I'm guessing carry population isn't that high, so it probably isn't that much in terms of air, people expecting anti-aircraft. And it also seems that our destroyer Disney is talking to us with div chat, so I'm assuming there's no voice available here. Now, it looks like we're actually bailing from the Yamato. He is kind of under a lot of HE spam. I probably still personally would have just finished him off and used the other torpedo bomber to try to hit the Montana or try to finish off the Moskva. At this point, we're just throwing planes away for the job. And we need to remember, that's a full HP Conqueror. It actually gets very good heavy autocannon. We can see that it's completely wiped one squadron and is now in the process of making mincemeat out of our second squadron. We do get the 6 torpedo hits on him, that's half of his health, which also amounts to around about, well, I'd say that'd be like, we hit him for like 30k, 20k that's permanently lost, that he cannot ever get back again due to regen. So that's actually pretty useful in a way, but like if you want to hit that Conqueluls, like the best course of action obviously is double AT bomber, stack, flop all of your, that's half your anti-aircraft gone, and as it's all heavy autofocus, it's, well, it actually matters quite a bit. And you can see the amount that the Conqueluls has healed back from after that strike, right? Anyways, time to put the ship in reverse. We are surface spotted. I don't think we're running concealment expertise because 16 kilometer concealment is really, really horrible. And I don't really think with concealment expertise, the Midway is not that bad. Moskva's still alive. We could have used these AP bombs to click on that. Instead, we're going to try to drop them on the Montana. I mean, they're both going to result in about the same amount of damage, although I think we're slightly off span. 9 hits for 10k damage, which is absolutely horrendous, and our fighters are kind of just circling into this blob right now, not really achieving much. Unfortunately, our gearing, I don't think is going to hit the torpedo on the Conqueluls. That would have been devastating, because I think he's used his heal to try to compensate a little bit for the torpedo bomber damage. And, I mean, he probably would have damage control party. He would have damage control party the flooding. Again, which, if the gearing had hit him with a torpedo and then flooded, that Conqueluls actually would have had a small chance of dying. Now, we're telling our devmate to go captain, pretty much telling us that we're not on voice with each other. Could be a little bit awkward, because, if a destroyer is not ready to take an airfight over him, and you kind of take an airfight over him, well, it could turn out to be really, really awkward for him, and he might find himself dying. Now, the enemy radar is probably about to come up again, and, well, we know where their destroyers are. This Yoyang is accelerated, so this drop is going to be majorly underled and not actually find itself hitting anything. He does actually get the gun down to Moskva, which is their radar down, but he actually gets Conqueluls himself in return, which is a bit unfortunate. Now, that's better, but I would not have readjusted that. I would have left that commit, because then the drop would have committed, but we can see our plane is just doing circles now, which is going to be awkward, because Yoyang, he could have tried to punch it forwards, and he would have easily been able to evade that drop. Turns out he decided to reverse and try to reverse out of it, so he actually, well, he sticks in the path of it, so which is kind of lucky for us, and he's flooding. I mean, it's unlikely he's going to die from that. He had enough health. The torpedo, on a saturation area is not going to upfront kill him, but we do actually get a high caliber off that flooding, which is kind of neat. Now, Des Moines is kind of being boxed in. If I was at Des Moines, I would try to push down the Montana, because chances are he's got to deal with the Zhao and everything in front of him as well, so it's going to be awkward for him. I don't think Zhao should try to torpedo a Montana. At this range, this guy just needs to advance in this direction and spam with HE, because the Montana is going to... No, this is stupid. That is really, really stupid. He tries to torp, he's going to die. So you asking him to torp is basically you saying, I want him to die, which is really, really bad. He's low enough HP that the Des Moines poking the corner, Montana's guns are facing that way, he just engaged. HE spam from him, AP spam from the Des Moines is going to wipe him. 10 AP bombs, I didn't have to catch that as the attack was going through. On the Conqueluls, we need to remember Conqueluls' heal is the super heal, but it also doesn't get a lot of health to begin with, And the important thing of that is that your AP dive bombers and torpedo bombers are not fully healable, and I would have actually ordered that plane to just go over the torpedo. Of course, if we caught the fact that the torpedo was being launched. And now we've got a Conqueluls. He's only, I say quote-unquote only, on 24,000 health. We should stack these torpedo bombers up and attack simultaneously. And he just ignore the Yoyang. He's not going to do anything to us. We can just advance in the opposite direction. Yoyang can't do much. And that's the thing, because our torpedo bombers are currently so destacked that, well, he's easily able to just focus on a single squadron. And, I mean, it's a very good drop. We're going to hit everything on him, and that's enough for the Des Moines to just blink away at him, although Des Moines is currently busy shooting AP at Yoyang for some reason. Second torpedo bomber in the air now, but the game's almost over. Conqueluls has super healed, so we pretty much just need to commit the drop on him ASAP. We could make a long drop, put the marker over here, and we actually circle around, because he's not going to be able to get out of this. So you can see, with a circle around, without doing the long drop, well, we're just going to bleed. I mean, we could go around the corner and just secondary away at him. Our secondaries are actually pretty solid, but there you go. They all got shot down enough, so we only get one plane kill. But just, before the game ends, just a little note here. Aircraft are invulnerable for the 10 seconds period they are taking off as a 12 for Midway. You can launch them and order the click, and the Conqueror can literally do a grand total of nothing until they are in the air, at which point they pretty much just make sure you auto drop in this kind of a situation, because well, you can manual drop, but there is a bigger risk in my experience of a turnaround with them, which kind of takes away the advantage of the 12-second invulnerability as a taking off kind of deal. Like until the aircraft is fully in the air, it is invulnerable. This applies to aircraft carriers. This applies to float planes. Any kind of aircraft in its takeoff period is invulnerable. It is only in their landing part where they are actually able to be killed. So in the end, we could have dealt with the Conqueror like that. If we had stacked up both of the torpedo bombers, we could have upfront killed him with his position being kind of awkward, jammed between a Des Moines bunch of islands and us. I mean, our secondaries aren't really a threat to him. He can use heals to counter that, but our aircraft definitely are. We also could have just tried to attempt to push him, although we need to keep in mind that he's likely to attempt a ram trade against us, because ram trade is superior for him. He's low HP, and well, he still has enough HP to basically upfront kill us with a ram, unless we're running ram signal, which would just be awkward because it's a Midway. You kind of want to be running other signals. They tend to be a bit more useful. Didn't actually check that in the replay itself, but I don't really think it's a major deal. I don't think signals have such a huge effect on aircraft carriers overall. Not like surface ships where 20% additional heal for ships like Mount Heal, additional fire chances for ships with not, plus a fixed, additive fire chance increases, compared to carriers with like 50-60% chances to set fires already in randoms. That's not really that big of a deal in my opinion. Great, you go from 50% to 51.5%. Great, you just added like 3% extra chance of fire. Yay. But if you have, 5% chance of fire and you buff that up to 6.5, you've just increased your fire chance by, percentile-wise a much bigger amount. Anyways, high caliber, thanks to the young flooding, we would have gotten that off the Conqueluls. Anyways, 2 kills, 11 floodings, only 3 torpedo bomber hits. Only the Roma and, in a way, accidentally, the ETMO were damage over time kills, and both of our kills were flooding kills, which is definitely quite nice. Our damage over time attack on the Roma was good. Pretty much the vast majority of our torpedo bombers were attacked very, very well, actually. Our hits were good, we didn't loiter too much time. The only one that was somewhat dodgy was to do a young drop, where if we just let the drop commit, but it's kind of hard to say something like that, because when you're in the heat of the battle, your thought processes are, oh, I don't think, trying to place a drop, not good, good, but at that point, it might have been too late, you already committed a drop, and, you can't adjust it, or you're just trying to, you're trying to look at how to get the best drop pattern against a target, and you may not be considering the actual movement of your aircraft and how it's moving to actually place a good-looking drop there, so in the heat of the battle, it's really difficult to say. It's just something I am pointing out kind of from a third-person post-battle commentary thing, what the correct play would have been. But, of course, even if I'd been watching it on a, over your shoulder and shouted, commit this drop, don't readjust it, you still would not have been able to readjust it. It's just, I want to make that clear here. So yeah, very well-placed drops overall. But AP bombers. I just want to say pretty much every single Midway game that I've shown, or, anything US carrier related. And we need to remember here, this is a single instance battle. We're watching one battle here, of course. In this battle, AP bombs were 85% a waste of effort. Of course, in other games where the matchmaking puts 5 turpiters on the enemy team, AP dive bombers, go ham. You're going to have the best game. You're going to have an amazing game. At least have the potential to have an amazing game. But the issue here is it's so unreliable. You don't know what the matchmaking is going to do. Unless there's a German battleship event and everyone's playing the German battleships, in which case have fun. But if that's not the case, personally, I would just say use HE bombers. They are more reliable, they do better overall, and I'll show you that once we get a look to the score screens. 2.5k base XP on our end. Our gearing didn't get to achieve that much. He was mostly trying to cap flags, and well, capping doesn't give that much XP anymore. Kind of sad in a way. Enemy Conqueluls was top on the scoreboard. We did end up giving him 27 plane kills there. HE bombers would have killed his anti-aircraft, and probably he would not have been able to kill much more than 15 to 17 of our planes, because HE dive bombers kill anti-air. Other than that, it's actually their destroyers trying to make wins, whereas on our team, our destroyers didn't really have that great of a time. The Z-39 died because our computer failed to load in properly, but the enemy Midway looks like, I'm actually not sure if he quit before the shimmy had actually killed him, because he killed the destroyer. There's no way he's at the bottom here. That's a bit horrible. So yeah, and this is where we actually start getting the interesting things. Let me see. I have a calculator around here, right? Let's have a look at some numbers. We did 76,000 damage with 31 AP bombs. Let's just punch that in, right? Divided by 31. That gives us an average of 2.4k AP bomb damage per bomb, compared to the 8k of the natural bomb's damage. Let's get up another calculator here. In this case, we're looking at let's just say 10,000. I forgot the exact numbers of the HE bombs, and let's just divide that by 3. This is basically your HE bomb's potential damage. Basically, let's just say it's 3,000. Of course, saturation and whatnot. So with just upfront alpha damage, we need to remember we did get some citadels against the Moskva here. Of course, if we're only going for citadelable targets, this number is probably going to be more like 4,000 or 5,000, but we're not. So just keep that in mind here. Now, this is just the raw HE alpha of a Midway's HE bomber. Of course, we're not going to hit as many bombs. This would probably be like 15 bomb hits. But let's say 10 bomb hits, right? Let's just say, for the sake of the argument, this would have resulted in 10 HE bomb hits of 3,000 damage. Well, we basically just need to add an extra 0 to that, because easy maths. And that's 3,000 total damage. Well, 30,000 total damage for 10 bomb hits. But that's not counting in the fire and flooding damage potential we could have had for the strike. Now, while AP dive bombers against things like Moskvas can potentially one-shot them, 3-dish Grosses, Turpus Space Ones, we can potentially one-shot them. You can also end up doing, like, in the case of this Moskva, 10k damage, so, it's still kind of luck. Now, how much damage, how many HE bombs you need to do 10k damage? Well, 3 to 4 HE bombs, you'll get 10k damage depending on where you land them and how much it saturates. Again, Montana, I think 9 bomb hits for 10k damage. That's bloody horrible. 4 bomb hits would have done more than this, set fires, and we could, kill anti-aircraft and reduce our bleed. And this is why I personally recommend HE dive bombers on Midway 95% of the times. Unless you get super lucky with matchmaking, or there's some kind of an event going on where everyone is playing Turpuses and Bismarcks, I would personally recommend you stick to the HE bombers. And that's definitely where the Conqueror would have, the Conqueror attacks would have come in useful. Because, as we see, we lost 39 torpedo bombers, and that's another thing I want to bring up with the calculator. And that's the kind of a thing, a kind of topic that's been asked a little bit, because there is talks that the Midway's aircraft carrier capacity is going to go from 136 down to, I believe, what's 96. Now, the thing to keep in mind here is that aircraft carriers with tech tree ships have their replacements divided basically equally amongst their squads. In this case, Midway gets 6 squadrons. So let's divide that by 6, and we get 16 aircraft per squad. Of course, we have 3 types of aircraft in equal distribution, so we could have just got 96 divided by 3, or do this again, and we'll see 32 fighters, 32 torpedo bombers, and 32 dive bombers. This is the total aircraft, of course. With fighters, we need to minus 14, because that's the total amount we have in the air. With AS, we'll have 18 replacements in total. Let's see, this is the other one. Here we see 30,000. In this case, this is 100 for the Hakuryu, and of course divided by 8 squadrons, and we need to multiply by 2 because that's the amount of fighter squadrons we have. And then we deduct that by 10 because that's the amount of aircraft we have airborne. We can see that replacements-wise, we have 18 fighters for the Midway, though the tier 9 fighters, and 15 for the Hakuryu. So this is kind of much more balanced than what it currently would be for the Midway. So you just activate it too, whatever. Which would be basically doing it like this. Yeah, I mean, even if you take that minus 14, not 154, not 14, my TV skills are amazing, that's basically 31 planes. Because I think it's actually the dive bomber that gets the additional plane there. So compare this number to this number to that. Of course, it's 25 total, but 45 total versus 25 total, it's kind of almost double, yo. So definitely don't think if that change goes through, it's going to be kind of better. But I mean, Midway would probably need to have a torpedo bomber health buff in that sense to keep the tier 9 fighters. It's fine because you get the 7 fighters versus 5 airborne per squad. So having them be reduced tier kind of fits the balancing a bit better. And if you want US planes to be the let's just throw planes away kind of deal, then well, I mean, they're going to be worse at it because they're going to bleed more planes, and I guess they're going to be less able to attack AA heavy targets, which is kind of realistically what the Japanese fleet was devoted to it, devoted to at the end of the war. But hey, let's not go into political details about that or its history. Sod it. So yeah, I personally suggest running high explosive bombs. They just kind of yield better results overall. Most of these targets were killed without HE bombs, and HE bombs, the AP bombs themselves weren't bad, but, if we had, well, we got kind of lucky here that the Roma ended up being our flooding, and the Ifnor flooded to death himself, plus a little bit of bonus flooding on the Yue Yang. But without that, with HE bombers, sure, HE Alpha might only have been 30,000 damage here, but we probably would have had fire damage to boost on top of that, or additional flooding damage to boost the numbers up to compensate for this. And we also need to keep in mind that this Moskva basically got Citadel to death. Well, he didn't die from it, he died to the Akituki torpedo, but he lost so much health from that AP Alpha strike that, well, if you were to discount that damage off the values here, in this case we take 76,604, and there's like, what, 20k? Well, let's just say, let's say we got 3 Citadels less. So that would be 8,000 damage, so 24,000 for, 3 Citadels less, and divide that number by 27, actually no, it would be 28, because my mathematics skills are good, and all of a sudden your AP damage output per bomb is suddenly a lot less, on average, if you deduct the Citadels. And, the additional 24k damage could easily be made up in flooding damage over time, although the Moskva would have been unlikely to die from that strike up front. In this game, it actually paid off kind of usefully to get rid of this Moskva up front, but that did mean in the later stages of the game we couldn't kill the Conqueror, and we bled the planes. And this is where the 32 plane calculation that we had earlier kind of comes in. I'm really good with the typing skill today. Because if this had been post changes, we would have been deplaned. Even with the 45 planes, we were out of torpedo bomber replacements, but it didn't matter because the battle had, basically for all intents and purposes, been ended at that point. But just a little something to keep in mind for the future. In this case, the torpedo bomber expenditure was, in terms of sustenance into the late stages of the game, absolutely perfect, because we only ran out of planes at the end of the last attack, and the last attack, well, is the attack that just ended the game. So we didn't actually get penalized for throwing away aircraft, which honestly we kind of did against the Conqueror. We wanted to get rid of him, but without HE spam against him, his AA is actually quite not bad at all, and without our own ability to kill AA, well, if you wanted to kill the Conqueror, you would have had to either stack everything off to reduce your bleed, that is, both your torpedo bombers and both your dive bombers, and click him and hope for the most amount of damage possible, because we need to remember Conquerors don't have that much health to begin with, and that's important because it means that they're sustained into the late game if they take AP bomber damage or torpedo damage. It means, well, damage over time they can easily compensate for by just pressing T to replace their ship, and ding, suddenly they just got themselves a new ship again, and off they go. But if you sink the ship up front, they don't have time to radio to base and say, yo, I need a new ship over here. Unfortunately, it seems this rather rude aircraft carrier is kind of damaging my previous one. Please deliver one to my location now. So yes. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this replay cast. If you did, give it a like. If you didn't, tell me why in the comment section below. If you'd like to submit your own replays, there is an email address in the description below. Send it to me, give it a nice title, give it a description. Tell me if there's anything specific you would like me to look at. Like, for example, Cat this time wanted to ask me how he should have better attacked or tried to kill the enemy's Conqueror. And of course, if you want to talk to me, I do have my own little Discord server. A link to that invite link is also in the description below. Join me there, chat with me, socialize, ask me questions about World of Warships and whatnot. Hope to see you guys there. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Take care, and I'll catch you there.